Marvel Comics, December 1963 cover date. Stan Lee and the gang released 11 comics on the newsstand this month, all with 12-cent cover prices. We're going to go through them one at a time and look at all the superhero genre books, starting with Amazing Spider-Man #7. This was the 97th Silver Age superhero comic that Marvel had published since starting only 25 months earlier with Fantastic Four #1. And this month would mark the end of 1963 cover dates, and we would reach the 100th Marvel Silver Age superhero comic. And 1964 would be just around the corner, would become a banner year as Marvel tried to compete with DC. Amazing Spider-Man #7 features the Vulture returning. It's the second appearance of the Vulture and a cover and story by Steve Ditko. Print run estimated at 200,000 copies. Blue background cover. You can see the CGC census has really been growing over the last few years. Now 1,600 copies total, and there's only 13 9.6s or better. Heritage Auctions has sold almost 400 copies in the last 20 years. In using the Overstreet annual price guide values for all conditions, we can see that the book has been a fairly slow mover overall in low grades, not even coming close to doubling. But in high grades raw, the book has more than doubled over this time period. And on the census at CGC, there are 2 9.8s, 11 9.6s. There is also a Mexican edition with only 1 copy graded a 3. And there are a bunch of the UK price variant editions, 22 graded in total, the highest being a 9.0. Also released that month, we have Fantastic Four #21. Now, at this time, Amazing Spider-Man and Fantastic Four had already proved themselves to be Marvel's 2 best-selling titles. Fantastic Four, of course, being their flagship title. We're up to issue #21, which features the first appearance of the Hate Monger, and it's the first crossover with Sergeant Fury, and it features Jack Kirby cover and art with sort of a cream white background cover. This is the 23rd most valuable first appearance Marvel comic of 1963. Print run also estimated at 200,000 copies. Way less copies of this one on the CGC census overall, almost 500 copies, but there are 14 9.6s or better. Heritage is growing as well. On the census, again, not much movement at all in low grades. Basically, the last decade, it hasn't even budged. In high grades over this time period, you'll see it's gone up 2.5 times. And on the census, there are 4 9.8s and 10 9.6s. Very few of the UK price variants have been graded at all of this book. Journey into Mystery 99 features the Thor ever since he took over in issue 83. This is the first appearance of Mr. Hyde and Surtur, and it's a Jack Kirby story. And print run estimated at 187,000 copies, another cream white background cover. Fewer of these on the census, overall appearing to be rarer, only 300 graded and only 6 9.6s or better. Heritage has sold less than 100. Overstreet price guide in this time period, the low grades have doubled, and in high grade, the book has more than tripled. On the census, there are no 9.8s, but there are 6 9.6s. Very few of the UK price variants. Only 2 of those have been graded. Now, also this month, Stan Lee was busy writing teen and romance books, including Kathy, Modeling with Millie, Patsy and Hetty, and Patsy Walker. So that's 4 titles there. Plus, always popular with Westerns, writing Rawhide Kid 37. So jumping onto the list next, we're going to look at Strange Tales 115. This is the 15th issue in a row featuring Human Torch solo stories. It's the 100th Silver Age superhero comic from Marvel, and it's Doctor Strange's origin. But Doctor Strange still hasn't been on the cover. But it is Doctor Strange's 4th appearance ever. So this is still an early key for him. And it's the 2nd appearance of the Sandman, and this book also features Spider-Man in a crossover. Print run estimated at 189,000 copies. We've got Jack Kirby and Steve Ditko teaming up on the cover art. This one has 768 copies graded total. Not very many of the super high grade, only 8 9.6 or better. Overstreet Price Guide has more than doubled in low grade. So lots of movement for this book. This book has gone up over 4 times raw in near mint 9.2. And just to keep in mind, if you're curious about graded copies, go to eBay or gpanalysis.com and see what graded copies are selling for these books, especially the higher grade ones, because they're breaking records all the time. On the CGC census, there's only 1 9.8 and 7 9.6s, and the UK price variant is very rare, only 3 graded, the average being a 4.0. Also out this month, we have Tales of Suspense 48. This would be the 10th issue in a row featuring Iron Man. And we get a new costume for Iron Man. So this is a major key book that really is quite undervalued. Print run estimated at 180,000 copies. So we get to see his new red and yellow outfit. And you can see on the census, it's been definitely growing. Almost 700 copies now, but still only 8. 9.6s are better. Heritage definitely moving up. Overstreet Price Guide, the book has almost doubled in lower grades. In high grades, it's just a little more than tripled raw. On the census, there are 3 9.8s and 5 9.6s. There are 10 UK price variants, but the average being a 4.2. There are no high grade copies of that at all. And we get Tales to Astonish in number 50. This is a Giant Man and Wasp issue, and it's the first appearance of the Human Top, who would later change his name to Whirlwind. Another cream white background cover. And Stan Lee and Jack Kirby credited on the cover. And print run estimated 189,000 copies for this book. Very few copies on the census at all, only 214 total in all grades combined. There are 9 9.6s or better. Heritage has not sold too many, averaging 2 a year on average. In the Overstreet Price Guide, very little movement in low grades. Why? Because this is a fairly cheap book. So it's gone up 2.5 times in high grades. And on the census, there are 3 9.8s, 6 9.6s, only 3 of the UK price variants, but the average being a 5.5. Now, what we're going to do next is compare all these books on the CGC census so we can see just what exactly is happening between all of these books. So, first thing I look for is which book has the most copies graded, because that book usually means it's the biggest key or the most demand book. And that is for sure Amazing Spider-Man number 7, very early issue with the second appearance of the Vulture, over 1,600 copies graded. That is way ahead of the next book, which is Strange Tales 115, which has less than half at 768. The lowest on the list for sure is Tales to Astonish 50 with only 214 copies. That is not many copies at all. For CGC to be around for 20 years, that means only 20 copies a year on average are getting graded in any condition. Now, looking at the highest grades, you'll notice that Journey into Mystery 99 was the only superhero book this month that has no 9.8 copies. But if we count to the 9.8s and 9.6s, the rarest book on the list appears to be Journey into Mystery 99 as well, because there's only 6 and 0. If we look for other things, just at the bottom, you'll see I put Rawhide Kid 37, a Western, just to compare how much more copies get graded as superhero books compared to a Western. Only 9 copies in total, but miraculously, there are 2 really high grade copies, which is nice to see. So there you go. That is Marvel's books with a cover date of December 1963. Stan Lee's really building the company at this time. He's now published 100 superhero comics, really cashing in. Sales and growth are starting to increase, even monthly. So 1964 is going to be a huge year for them, and there's going to be some surprises coming up in the months of 1964 as Stan Lee creates even more classic characters. Please subscribe to this channel where you can watch me teach you some comic history and investing tips. In all my videos, I do at least 3 a week. Thanks for watching.